Okay, a very quick turnaround, but we welcome now with us our defending champion, Xander Schauffele. I think for me, Xander, all I can open by saying is, how does it feel to be back?
Yeah, it's always nice to come back to a place that brings good memories, or you have good memories at, and this is one of those places for me, so always nice to be on this side of the pond.
And how does your game compare playing over here? Obviously, you played very well in one last year, but how does it compare playing on links golf, and how do you enjoy that sort of setup?
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge growing up in the U.S. and coming over here and learning to play links, playing the ball down in severe wind and avoiding bunkers and taking your medicine when you do hit in the bunker and things of that nature. So it's always a challenge for us and something that we enjoy, or at least something that I enjoy doing. Very
good. Well, we're delighted to have you back, and we will start with Sean.
Last year was 3 in a row. Travelers, I guess J.P. McManus, you won there, and then you won here. Is that the best golf you've played in your life?
From a result standpoint, I'd say yes. We hang ourselves up on, or us pros hang ourselves up on how many wins we have each year, and golf is a game of losers, unfortunately. So I guess if you look at it based on that in terms of results, then yeah, it would be a really, really good stretch for me.
Do you have another time in your life that you actually think of as your best?
I'd like to think that I haven't tapped into that yet.
Fair enough.
We've got Martin in the front row.
Last year was easily the most difficult of the events here so far. 7 under par was the winning aggregate. What do you feel you did well last year? I mean, it was windy. What did you feel the strength of your game was in the 4 days?
Yeah, just when it's really windy, you have to position yourself correctly around the property. So, to leaves, it's hard to hit a lot of greens. When you do miss a green, you have to miss it in the correct spot. You just know some fairways are almost impossible to hit. And like I said, some greens will be impossible to hit. So you have to really think your way around the property, and you have to, be willing to hit some uncomfortable shots throughout the day. So, or throughout the course of the week. So, I mean, probably something of that nature.
One eye on next week. I mean, obviously the underfoot firm conditions is one thing. But do you want to get tested with the weather as well over the next 4 days? Would that be beneficial for next week?
Yeah, I don't look too far. I'm more of a day-to-day kind of guy. I don't look too far ahead. I planned, to be here and prep for next week, but my eyes are set on this week and mainly for tomorrow.
We'll go to Ian over in the back left.
Hi, Xander. Obviously, the hearings took place yesterday. I just wondered if you had any kind of reaction as to what we heard and what we learnt from the papers that were released, and just, a general feeling of where we're at with obviously some pretty uncertain times at the moment. Yeah.
First and foremost, it's sort of being on property here. It's my job to play golf, and I did watch. In all honesty, maybe 10 or 15 minutes of it. I had to go see a physio and trainer and get dialed in for today and the rest of the week. So we were sent a document, the 276-page document, and a link to the hearing. So I will do my homework, and I saw the hearing. I clicked on it, and it was about 3 hours, and I clicked on that about 10:45 p.m. last night, and I quickly exited out of it, knowing that I wanted to get some sleep in preparation for the tournament week. So I will listen to it, and I will probably not read all of it, to be completely honest, because it's not my forte either. So it's hard for me to comment on everything that occurred, because I don't really know a lot about what was talked about and what happened.
But just on a general point, the uncertainty that is around the future of men's professional golf right now, is that unsettling?
I think if us players can stay together, sort of stay unified and have the right goals in place for the future, then it would be less unsettling. So I say for the most part, most of the players on the PGA Tour are together and sort of want to be informed and want to have a say in sort of what happens. And right now, with this hearing and everything that's going on, these are just sort of steps in the process to getting, I guess, not what we want, but more transparency and sort of getting a seat at the table. You know, it's a for members by members organization, and that's what it should be.
Okay, to Alex over on the left.
Xander, I don't know, 50, 60 years ago, Jack Nicklaus and Gardner Dickinson and some other guys decided that they needed to do something different as well, and they actually pulled away from the PGA of American, and that's how the tour started. Is there a possibility that you guys collectively could sit there and say maybe there's a better way, but maybe it's not the current path of the PGA Tour?
We would need so much more information to make that decision, and also we're no experts. We're really good at hitting golf balls, and making big decisions of that nature or that gravity is just not really what we're good at, and you know, for those reasons we do need help.
And then secondly, Jordan was just in here. His concern, outside of not being able to answer all the questions about the deal because nobody really knows what those are, his concern is basically the fact that the communication, alliance communications seem to be not really well open right now, where they were previously during COVID. Today, it doesn't seem like there's that.
Sort of like, I have a pretty young tour career, but one of the rockier times on tour. You know, the guy who was supposed to be there for us wasn't. Obviously, he had some health issues. So I'm glad we got the memo. I'm glad that he said he's feeling much better. But yeah, I'd say he has a lot of tough questions to answer in his return. And yeah, I don't trust people easily. He had my trust, and he has a lot less of it now. So I don't stand alone when I say that. And yeah, he'll just have to answer a lot of really hard questions when he comes back.
Lastly, just sheer curiosity here. Do you remember exactly where you were when you found out about this deal?
My wife woke me up. I was laying in bed with my French bulldog. We were having a nice little canoodling session. And yeah, my wife woke me up in the pitch black room and informed me of the news. I mean, I had one of those sort of like, I don't know who looked worse, me or my little guy. You know, I woke up and, you know, I asked my wife to sort of tell me where the news was coming from, like tell me, you know, what source it was. And it was so early. I remember just laying there, and I wanted to go back to bed. And then, you know, I was kind of like laying there I was like, and then my phone just started going off. So unfortunately, I had to wake the little guy up and had to get my day started. He kept sleeping.
That's the big news of the day, I think.
Yeah.
And just one more question over at the back here.
Xander, can I ask, coming here to Scotland to defend your title with the Open next week, is there a sense that you guys are getting a break from all the off-course focus that's been so much part of your daily routine now for the last few weeks, let alone yesterday with the hearings in the Senate, that actually you'll benefit from getting a break, playing a course you know, playing a course you've won well, but also just playing in a different country and playing a different type of golf?
Yeah, I'd say the best players in the world typically are pretty good at compartmentalizing and separating, you know, one from the other. When there's something important to do, which is usually hitting a little white golf ball, that's what we do. And when we're in tournament mode, for me at least, you know, my brain sort of goes off and focuses only on the task at hand, whether it's a putt, a chip, a drive, or an iron shot. So, yeah, it is kind of refreshing. It is kind of nice. And we're in a completely different time zone than when we are back at home. And, you know, if you just turn your Wi-Fi off and aren't willing to read any articles, you can sort of escape, like you alluded to, escape sort of from everything that's going on to the best of anyone's ability when you're on this side versus being sort of back in the U.S. You know, it's unsettling at times, but to me, it's just part of the job. I feel us players have a certain responsibility, being a member of the tour and an ambassador of the tour in golf. So, you know, I love my job. I love playing golf, and you know, not everyone likes you guys hate asking, or maybe most of you guys hate asking really tough questions, but it might be a part of your job you don't like, and you know, dealing with all this off-course stuff is part of the job that probably wouldn't be my favorite. So, like I said, it is part of the job and something that we have to deal with.
Okay, we'll take two more. We'll go to Fatia and then finish up with Doug.
Xander, do you feel any little peace or little harmony that this merge brought?
Do I feel peace or harmony that the merger brought? You know, I try to be glass half empty, half full when it comes to this stuff. Thinking half full, obviously, that, you know, I'd say peace and harmony is definitely the opposite of what the announcement brought to us players for the most part. So, but like I alluded to or said earlier, I think in any tough situation, something good will happen. It may not seem like it when you're stuck in it, you know, knee deep in some bad stuff, but for the most part, you know, I do expect some good things to come from everything that's happened, and hopefully it's us players sort of getting a little bit of more of that transparency that we've been asking for quite some time.
Okay, and lastly with Doug.
Couple golf things. Birkdale, your first links test, or had you played before?
Birkdale was my first Open.
That was a quick turnaround too, wasn't it, in terms of getting in at the last second?
I can't remember, so long ago. You can tell me, was it a quick turnaround?
I would think so.
Yeah.
I don't know what the schedule off the top of my head, but I guess my point is it took you, I think you did okay that year, but the next year at Carnoustie, having a real good chance there. What was it about links golf, do you think, that you really picked up on quickly as different as it can be?
You just don't have to be perfect. It's not that you have to be perfect anywhere else, but I guess sometimes when you play parkland golf courses, you know, it's calm and balmy almost, and you know, you're teeing off in the afternoon and you see someone shot, you know, 7 under on the front 9, and you know, you go out in the afternoon and you're like 1 over through 5 holes and you feel like you're going to lose a tournament. With links golf, there's way more variables that come into play with the weather, and it just can play a lot harder, I guess. And so if you can sort of ride the ship and play steady golf, you know, 7 under won last year. If you sort of knew 7 under was going to win before the week started, you'd play the course a lot differently. Obviously, we don't know those kind of things, but you do have an idea with the forecast. You see rain, you see wind, and things of that nature, so you can kind of understand that you don't have to be sort of perfect or shoot ridiculously low scores to contend and win.
Hang on. And secondly, I'm sorry, I just had a blank there for a second. But when it's the last major of the year and you haven't won one yet, does that add any type of urgency to it, or do you look at the fact that you're still 29, you got plenty more years? Assuming you're still 29.
Yeah, I just, you know, I really want to win one as much as anyone else. So maybe more, and I just need to really just keep walking my path. It's been different than everyone else's that I've won sort of at a really young age or won a bunch of them. So just trying to stay patient, and you know, after you feel sort of let down after certain tournaments, you sort of go back to the drawing board, and sometimes that's not the best thing. We've been really close many times, and I just am asking to get myself in those situations more and more, and I can guarantee that I'll win one. Not really. I was playing really, really good golf, kind of leading into a point, and sort of my body got a little crossed up. Starting on Saturday, I started hitting like snap hooks, which was something I haven't done in quite some time, and really had to, and of course the course started playing a little bit harder at that moment as well. So I got myself in some pretty bad stuff, swing wise and body wise, and mentally I stayed okay just because I knew, not to panic in that moment. But yeah, after starting off so well and being in such a good spot, feeling untouchable almost, golf is funny. It really knocked me down pretty far with that Saturday and Sunday, and sort of how I felt about my game. So after a week like that, I was kind of looking more towards the future than kind of dwelling on what happened, and more so just how I can make sure that any sort of check or system of check that I can put in place to make sure I didn't get so out of whack like I did.
Okay, thank you, Xander. Good
Thank
luck
you.
this week.
Thanks.
To watch another DP World Tour video, click here, and to subscribe, click here.